Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Digital Hoarders. I'm so glad that you guys decided to join us on this wonderful Thursday. And for those listening on iTunes and other podcasting, thank you for listening to us. I would like to let everyone know that we do have a special guest tonight. We have Richard Lico tonight. Sorry if I said that wrong, but I tried my best there. Right. Awesome. So from here we go. Let's start with a round robin of everyone. Richard, why don't you let the guests kind of know who you are, what you've been doing, and just welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I am an animator in the gaming industry. Been doing this gaming thing for like 17 years professionally. Right now, I'm actually working with a company called Polyarc. It's a small group of us that decided to make our own studio. Many of us are ex-Bungie employees. We're making a game called Moss about a cute little mouse that some of you may have seen.
Woo!
And I like food.
Hey, don't we all?
Amen.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, let's just go.
Yeah, are we coming in on the? You see the little statue here?
I got
you,
buddy. I got you.
Look at that.
Oh, what?
See, this
There is
in
Moss.
the box.
Hold on.
In the
Can
box.
I-
In the box.
While we're showing the statue, can I tell a quick story? Do I got a second here?
Yeah, please do. I know exactly what this is.
Just 1 second.
One second. Let me tell you a quick story about this statue that Brandon's got here. He went to E3 and got this wonderful statue. It's just gorgeous, just beautiful, and looks like it's in one piece. I was watching the E3 presentation with my girlfriend and the trailer came up for Moss, and we were just taken aback by it. Just so gorgeous. But my girlfriend, she loves games, but she doesn't get kind of enamored with games the way I do. Moss was easily the game of the show that she saw on the trailers. She just loved that little mouse. So we came over here later, and we were talking about Moss. And Brandon was like, "Oh, let me show you this statue." So he showed me the statue, and I just loved it. And I was like, "I can't wait to show Tanya. Can't wait to show her." She came in and sat down about an hour later, and I said, "Hey, did you see that statue that Brandon got?" And she saw it from across the room, and she thought, "That's awesome, amazing." She loved it. I didn't get up and hand it to her for a reason. Brandon got up, walked across the room, grabbed the statue, handed it to her. Seconds, maybe, into her holding the statue. She screams. It tumbles to the ground. Quill was in 3 pieces. Quill had no foot. Quill had no arm. Quill had no tail.
No.
It's fixed. It is fixed.
Thank you.
He went into surgery. Thank you, Crazy Glue.
Yes. My wife for having more patience than I.
And you can't tell. Looking at her, she looks totally fine.
Oh,
She's
she looks
beautiful.
great. But there was a time there where she wasn't going to be able to do sign language at all.
She lost.
Great sign language for "I'm broken."
Yeah.
She lost the foot. She lost the tail. But you know what? She's a trooper.
I learned
Quill
the sign
keeps
for
on
ouch that day.
So
Now, Mr. Lico, I hear that
move them like that.
I hear
Yes.
you're sending one of those statues to all of us for free. Is that true? That's just what I heard. I'm just saying. I mean,
Joel.
Oh, man, right in the gut.
it's what he does. It's what he does.
Yeah.
Wow.
I tip well.
I'll see what I can.
So, I guess, so if we can, so one thing that we're trying to focus on is we're not trying to treat it with, we're so happy that Richard's here with us, but we're not treating this like he's being interviewed by another gaming media. We'll touch on Moss and the stuff that he's done, but the way we're going to do things when we have people hang out with us is exactly that. They're just here to hang out with us. It's our buddies, and we're all shooting the shit, and we're just having fun. So, with that being said, Richard, I know we talked a couple of days ago. You don't get to game as much as you used to. Obviously, you're kind of busy. What's the last game you were able to really dive into and play?
Oh, man. So there's a few games I've been playing recently. The remake of Final Fantasy 12, I'm really into that one right now.
Okay.
That's pretty badass. But the game that I really got into over the last 6 months or so is Street Fighter V. So
Okay.
buddy, well, I'm an old school Street Fighter player from back in the 90s when I was in high school. That was the thing. So I used to go to tournaments and used to have so much fun playing that game. And, you know, I thought I was pretty good until I met one of my coworkers who's incredibly good at Street Fighter 5. So we've been playing quite a bit and really getting into it. So that's my jam these days. What about you guys?
Who was your character in Street Fighter 2, if I can ask?
In 2 was Chun-Li.
Yeah. Chun-Li, okay.
Oh, yeah. Street Fighter 5,
Right,
I
was Vega all the way. Just all the way. Those
Vega's my
claws.
favorite. I have no clue why. It's like the hardest person for me to play because I'm bad at fighting games. Because
And he doesn't.
Vega. The one with the white
he
mask?
doesn't do a lot of like super power moves. It's just normal fighting. So it's pretty boring. I don't know why I gravitated towards him.
You know, he was really good in 4. Like, I don't know if you guys played that, but man, he had
Not much.
some space.
I need to go back and play it.
You know what? I still was bad with him, but from what I was told from people who don't button mash, he was very fantastic.
Yeah. What is a combo? I don't even know.
I'll tell you.
It's
That's how I play. How'd you get that video?
So
that's a good that's actually a good lead into what I've been playing this week because I was playing I'm on vacation, so I haven't really gotten to play too much. But I did decide to pop in Injustice 2 for the first time since I bought it. Yeah.
Sweet.
That is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. And let me tell you, there are like
100%.
there's some characters that are really technical, but they're like Starfire is just one of the characters where I could just sit there and just like, slam my fist on the controller and I was just destroying things. It was fantastic.
the controller.
Button mash friendly.
You know, they do.
I found Injustice 1.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not one that's. I'm not. No, I was agreeing with you. I'm not one that gravitates to stories and fighting games because there's usually not much there. But both the Injustice games, I've absolutely loved the stories. They've been fantastic. And with Injustice 2, there's actually 2 different stories. There's 2 different endings. There's a split point where you go Superman or Batman, and there's completely different outcomes and trophies tied to all of them. So yes, of course.
Is there a platinum?
But Batman.
Batman. Yeah, come on.
What's up?
There is a platinum, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah, yes, there's a platinum, but I don't think I will ever obtain.
Yeah, it's a
that
tough
platinum.
one.
No.
It's a tough one, I think. It's not. It did pull Sonic Mania and not have a platinum. So
What's the platinum?
You have to win Evo to get it.
pretty much.
yeah.
All right. Well, I see we got another Joker on here.
Oh, too funny.
So, Doc, what are you playing right now, buddy?
Actually, I finished The Remains of Edith Finch. You know, that whole game. Really loved it. Such a powerful and dramatic story. Truly moving. I don't want to give away too much, but the story is very impactful, especially if you're a parent. It's going to hit home a lot more so than others, but definitely it's a very moving game. So that was fun. I 100%ed that one. And then also I tried out the NBA Live 18 demo just for the sheer fact is because I wanted to give them a try this year because they took an approach in gaming that hasn't been and actually included WNBA. So it's just not a male dominant view finally, and I wanted to give them that recognition, and so I'm going to get the game for the sheer fact that they went out on a limb and did something that other franchises haven't tried to dabble in because it's not popular or there's different opinions about it. So, but so we're doing that.
Play?
Yeah, how's the gameplay? I'm very curious.
So the gameplay is fluid. It's fun. It looks really good, but also it's kind of fast-paced. If you're going to compare it to the other one, NBA 2K, NBA 2K is, of course, top of the league, but they still have their problems with the servers and everything else. But I haven't had any issues with live or anything else. Mind you, there's some weird shooting mechanics still where, you got the meter or whatever, or you can just use the stick, which I like the true motion stick kind of style. So, but it plays good on that one. So I definitely, I think it's going to be worthwhile purchase, and especially if you're an EA Access member on Xbox, you can get it for $35. If you're on PlayStation, you can get it for $40. And I mean,
Wow.
for $40 for that's saying something. They've undercut NBA 2K, and I think that's going to do wonders for their sales this year, to be honest. And the product that they brought to the table, it's very solid showing for them. So happy to see that NBA Live is actually back. So
Yeah. Competition always makes games better.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken them a few years to get to this because we all know their launch with their new engine. It's been kind of rocky, but definitely have to say they put their best foot forward on this one. And yeah, it's a testament to the team and everyone else. And they got the animations down to some of the biggest players, like Harden's little, and all this stuff. Yeah.
Noodles.
Yeah, the noodle. So it's good. Definitely. I give props to that. I guess just EA in general has done really good because I tried out Madden too, and
Yes.
Oh, that's an instant buy.
I'll be all over too quick. Lico will leave.
Yeah,
this
we gotta. I was just about to say we'll have a whole episode around Madden probably, but that is not what Lico will not be checking that one out. I know this is not his area of expertise. He told us. I'm not just assuming.
I know a lot about football. There's a ball and there are players. It's amazing.
This is true.
That is true.
You use your
Sides
foot.
to try to outsports each other. You're just wondering who's going to sports the hardest.
Nailed it.
Good to go. Just join a team.
Go team, go. So the most recent game that I beat is also What Remains of Edith Finch. We kind of on the podcast tried to all beat that as quick as we could. Echo Doc's sentiments. That game was brilliant. A lot of really crazy stuff happens in that game. And like Doc said, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's beautiful. It is a beautiful game. And now I'm on a Telltale kick.
Yes.
I'd be lying if I said I'm not doing it for some easy plats, but I also I do want to get so Game of Thrones I'm playing right now, and I feel like that was the one that seemed to be was met with a lot of hesitation. People didn't. I am loving every second of that game. That story is heart-wrenching, like a typical Game of Thrones episode is. So fantastic. But Alden can talk about the game that he beat thanks to your guys' recommendations.
Well, yeah. Do we want to talk about that now, or do we want to bring it up in a segment later? I've played a few games. I played Hitman because of the poll that we had last week where a lot of people commented on, and we really appreciated it. It's really cool. It was really cool to play that game because otherwise I probably wouldn't have gotten to it. Who knows when? Like, it would have taken me so long. It's a really cool game. I didn't know it was...
Before you review it, can you let us know a little bit about what kind of game Hitman is? Because originally I was thinking it was exactly like a Telltale game, but I was informed that it was a little bit different. So what kind is it? Like a traditional Hitman game, like where you are the Agent 47? Is that his name? My memory is awful.
Yep.
Okay.
No,
so
you're right.
you're playing as him like a normal way? Is it more storytelling? Like what kind of how would you describe it?
There's not more storytelling. It's really. I think it probably set the wrong tone for it being an episodic game, and that's not a bad thing. I feel like it'd be cool if more games did the episodic thing where they can kind of pick it up and go every couple months. But because Telltale's the only person or the only team doing that right now, Telltale and Life is Strange did that. Those are all story-driven games. So it's different to see a different team doing this, but it's not. It's a traditional Hitman game. It's brutal. It's brutal. Each episode is one mission, I think, one full mission that takes a few hours, but there's so much side content too, which I didn't get to. I only had time to play the story mode. I wanted to get all that done before I talked about it. But there's so much. I feel like if you weren't somebody like me who has 3,000 games to play, you could spend 6 months, 8 months with Hitman just because there's so much content there. You can kill everybody in so many different ways. I killed one guy dropping a toilet on his head. That was a highlight.
Pretty crappy situation.
I dropped a boat on somebody's head in that game.
Joel,
And
Gotta lose the less faithful viewers now.
Now I don't know if I can say stuff because I'm afraid you're going to turn it into a pun. There was one of the early episodes. You can either make a guy explode out of his cockpit chair from his plane to kill him,
Which is what I did.
Same
or
here.
you could follow, or you could poison him. Or you could poison him and follow him into the bathroom and drown him in the toilet. And that was just two of the ways. That's the way I chose. I don't know why.
I had to see how.
Yeah, but it makes you want to go back. There's probably at least 8 different ways you can kill every target, and there's multiple targets in every level. Some of the levels have 2 targets. Some of the levels have 4 targets. It's just a really cool game. The story is not really there. But it's a really cool game. It's not about the story.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be. It's all just
you're a hitman.
So it's like the
killing
John Wick
shit
of
in cool
video
ways.
games, like all action.
I mean, it's literally no different than every Hitman game before it. It's
Yeah.
just the only thing that I think confused people was the episodic release schedule that they did. But if they didn't, it's literally every other Hitman. Blood Money, Silent Assassin. It's just like every other Hitman game. And
But
I
it's
love it.
super fun.
right? Like it was only available through online, and then they released all of it together as one game later on.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
they were releasing it episodic, only digital for 6 or 7 months.
Yeah,
Probably.
it was about 7 to 8 months, and then they put it on a beautiful steelbook, physical, and with the whole collection. So
And that's when Brandon got it.
Yeah.
of course.
I'm
it's
going to
solid.
have to admit that I do not. Well, I don't. I have not played the new Hitman.
Okay.
For the sheer fact because I was scared of the episodic, which turned me off to it. Because I was like, okay, what's happening? It's a new style. Now, mind you, I used to play all the other Hitmans. I thought they were very intriguing. You know, I just loved the depth and, you know, the thought that you had to put into it. But it is sitting in my backlog. And you know,
Oh, well.
Maybe when we do
So
your
I
segment,
got
you
it.
can add it to the list.
yeah, I put it in there. I think it was the holiday sale that Xbox had. So there's just, you know, so I snagged that. But I was scared that I didn't get it at the launch. That was what scared me. I took it on the sale price, which, you know, it was the
Hey.
game. I was just looking through the thing while I was saying I just found it. I thought I didn't have it, but I do have it. It's right here. But yeah, it's definitely, I think what you guys all just said makes me want to actually dig into it now. So
Yeah, it's a really cool game. I knew I would like it. It looked fun. I didn't know I would love it as much as I did. I loved it. I don't know that I'll go back and do the side quests, but I loved it.
That is now the second time I have told you that you'll love a game, and you just, I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe just. take my
Episode
word
2,
for
I
it.
hope you guys are really picking up on the
Yeah.
fact that Brandon likes to take credit for things.
I'm just a dick to Alden. That's what I'm doing. So,
Other than Hitman,
Friday the 13th.
I was I loved it. I was glad to get through it because I was able to get back and play some Friday the 13th and play some PUBG because I just missed them so much. But then I also went back. I got Undertale when it came out. So I'm playing through that. I'm only about an hour in. It's a short game, but it's really, really cool, really cute. But I also got Hellblade, and let me tell you, that game is something else. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm only about halfway through now, but that game is unbelievable. The experience that you get out of it, it really highlights mental health in a game in a way that I've never seen done before. You have to play it with headphones. You have to wear headphones when you play it because the voices, she's hearing voices in her head basically throughout the game. So you're hearing these voices come from different spots in her head. And no spoilers, very early on you see like it's like that voice that everybody has in the back of their head sometimes telling you can't do this. Why are you even trying? What's wrong with you? Obviously, it's turned up to another degree where I can't even imagine somebody having to deal with that all the time. And it really makes you empathize with people like that. But it's just so cool to have that going on. And there were so many times, it's not a game where the combat is stressful to me very much, but just walking through a level, I realized I was short of breath. My heart was racing, and it was all these voices and all these things that she's going through. It's so cool. There was a point where I think you drop down early on in the level, and it's just a typical video game trope where you drop down on the ledge and then you realize, oh, I can't go back again. And as I turned around to look at the wall to see if I could climb it or anything, just so I could know, the voice in your head goes, oh, she jumped down. Why'd she do that? She can't go back now. What's she doing? What's wrong with her? And then there's another voice on the other side of your head going, she can do it. Come on. You can do it. Come on. And it's just, it's really neat. I recommend everybody play it. It's only $30 up front. I can't imagine what it's going to be like on sale.
Yeah, seriously.
So for $30, everybody should play it. I'd love to talk about this game more, but I want everybody to play it and experience it for themselves.
That's the best way to do it.
Yep.
So I guess if we're gonna talk about the poll results, then Brandon, what was the movie that won the poll result for you to watch?
So if you guys are new to the show, what we do is every week we're going to put up, one of us is going to dive into our digital backlog of games, pick 3 games, and then we're going to put a poll on Twitter for you guys to vote on. Somebody else is going to dive into their backlog of movies, same thing, 3 choices, poll on Twitter. So for me, it was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which I don't know why I had never seen that movie. I have no excuses, but that movie was awesome. That movie was fantastic.
I remember you saying something about that's going to be the one that's going to win. Yeah.
That's what I was expecting to win, and blasphemy for me not seeing it. That movie was fantastic.
Were you the only one who hasn't seen that movie? Was it everyone else here
in the world?
For you?
Mary hadn't seen it. I mean,
she's on the podcast right now.
But fantastic movie, absolutely hilarious. It for some reason, shame on me for not even realizing it was an Edgar Wright film, because Shaun of the Dead is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love. He's brilliant. So shame on me for not realizing that was an Edgar Wright movie. Tiny little kudos. One of my all-time favorite actors is in that in a super brief role. It's Thomas Jane, and he comes in and plays the vegan police. That shit was hilarious. I love Thomas Jane. I don't think that guy gets enough credit. But just that 2 minutes he was on screen going back and forth with Brandon Routh, that was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I think it's pronounced Ruth. Brandon Ruth. Didn't you meet him?
I'm pretty sure it's Routh, actually. It's actually Routh.
You know what? You sound off on Twitter. All right, hashtag Ruth. Is it Routh or Ruth? We need to know.
Like, comment, subscribe.
So fantastic movie. I apologize to everybody for not having watched that sooner.
No, it's a good opportunity for you to put that on a poll and have everybody in the world vote for it.
And it works. So thank you, everybody in the world. But I don't want us all to hog the mic. I want to listen to that beautiful man, Richard, over there.
Do we want to go over everybody's games?
What's up?
Do we want to go over everybody else's poll?
So I guess we can. Yeah, if you want to, real quick, we'll do this, and then we're gonna talk Richard's ear off here and listen to him talk. So Doc and Joel, you guys are up next this week for the poll. So what have you guys chosen that we can take to Twitter?
Well, who's gonna start? You want Doc? Hey, Doc, start it off. Start off, Doc.
We lost audio.
Doc, you're not coming in.
My bad. Here.
Doc's silent.
There you are.
There we go. Sorry, I was trying not to hog bandwidth, so I took myself off. No, so I have chosen for myself. I thought originally about doing movies, but then I was like, you know what? Let's do games, because the games is a lot more vast than movies. So you heard me talk about one that I haven't did, and that's Hitman. So that one's going to be up.
It's back. It's back.
Yeah, so it's back up there. Then my second one is Abyss. I actually need to get into.
Okay.
Well, not a bit. Abzu. Sorry, Abzu. Let me.
Okay.
Abzu, the little diver.
Well, now I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Little diver game.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Then the last one is kind of bad because I am an Xbox fan of the stuff. But,
What?
Just a little.
Yeah.
Not green coincidence.
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Oh,
You haven't played it?
that's my vote.
So I've literally played about 15 minutes of it. That's
Okay. Well, that's my vote.
So I literally got it, started it up. I jumped around and then I turned it off and forgot to go back because new games came out and it just got put to the side. Yeah. So definitely need to. Those are my 3 choices for everyone. So
Richard, what would you pick? What do you pick, Richard?
It's gotta be
Ori?
Ori.
Yeah.
That's
see,
2 for Ori.
I know, and I
gotta
feel
say Ori,
bad.
too.
Because I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Kother, and Coker. He was such a nice guy. I love him, and when he came out at E3 and did the stage, I was like, oh my god, I love your music, and just he did it, and then I was like, yeah, finish the game.
I'm a big phony.
Yeah, I'm a phony.
Yeah, I'd say Ori too. I haven't played through it myself. My girlfriend is playing it on my PC, so I'll play on my Vita while she's playing it, and it's just so cool. It's gorgeous. It's fun. I like it a lot. Ori.
Joel, what would you pick? Ori as
I'm
well?
gonna abstain my vote because I want to remain anonymous. Okay. So
This guy.
I'm gonna wait till Twitter's on there so I can sound off without sounding off. So,
And then you could be like, oh yeah, that's what I would have picked. That was,
I was gonna say that, but
it's gonna be a little obvious when it has 4 votes for Ori and 1 vote for something else.
nah, you don't know me.
Oh, that's too funny.
All right, Joel. What are you doing? What are your movies?
I'm not. No, I'm
go
game.
ahead, Joel.
Nah. Can't change on me last minute like that. So it looks like instead of a movie one, we're just gonna
did
do
we do that
games,
wrong?
which is great. It's fine because we are
yeah.
game centric. Okay, so let's respect it. So I have 3 games that have been kind of just sitting on the shelf, and one is probably gonna shock all of you. You're gonna be like, holy. So I'm gonna say that one for last. One, if I can get it to install. So God forbid this one wins the vote. Mafia 3 for the PS. I for some reason couldn't get it to install, and that's actually what made me kind of like just fall away from it. But I love 1 and 2, so I'm very excited to eventually get to it. But I guess if there's enough votes that push me to it, I'll go through that dreadful install process. The second game is Lord of the Rings: The Shadows of Mordor.
Oh damn!
I
get some long
Yeah, that's
ones.
a no-brainer.
Long
Yeah,
games.
you just got
I know,
my vote
right?
for that one.
I played it for 10 minutes, loved every minute of it, except for the fact that so 10 minutes was an exaggeration. I did a lot, well, not an exaggeration, sorry, underselling it. I did a lot more than 10 minutes. So it wasn't a lot. I was messing around with it, and I just remember killing like 3 of the clan leaders, and I fell on top of the world. Then I died, and they all came back, and I was like, this game, So, frustrating, but that's still a game that I want to actually get through and beat. But the third one, this is one that's going to shock all of you for 2 reasons. One, I love Telltale games, and I love Batman. So Batman Telltale, I still have not played any of it.
What?
Yep. I normally wait. I wait for them to come out with all of them, and I did that thing where I waited and then forgot. So
I understand that.
Yeah.
I needed that.
So
I know.
So what you're saying is you're not a real big Batman fan.
Oh.
And he's done. He left.
What I'm saying is that I'm hoping that wins the vote. So weigh in, rig the election here.
I would throw my vote to that simply because Mafia 3 and Shadows of Mordor, you are looking at 50 plus hours for both of those. And if you want to have something to really dive into in 2 weeks, I'm going to go with Telltale because you'll totally have that under your belt. So
Yeah.
I don't have to
But
beat
Mafia's-
it to give a review. You know what I mean? I could still rush
But it
through.
helps.
Listen, I'm not gonna take my time. I don't take my time through games anymore. I know that if
All right,
I don't line it to the end, I will not finish it. So trust me, I will get through any game that wins that vote, except for Mafia's install times. So I'm sure that'll be a Trollsy vote.
That's like a week right there. So
Yeah, if I had to pick, I would probably pick Batman. I was going to pick Mafia 3 until you added Batman to the mix, just because I haven't played Mafia 3 and I'd like to hear what you think about it. I know Brandon loves it. But Batman is so good. I can't get over how good that was. That's another game where it's a Telltale game. I kind of knew what to expect, and it took over my day. I played for 2 days straight and just loved it. It's so good.
That's really good to hear. Because you know how reviews are these days. They bash anything. So I think Batman got one of those in the middle treatments where it was like it's great, but it's also horrible. So I didn't know what to try.
I really enjoyed Batman a lot.
Yeah,
I thought the story was fantastic.
They do things with the Batman universe that they had a lot more license, I guess, to do what they wanted, and they changed things. So you don't know exactly what to expect, and I loved that because the first time that happened, I thought, man, why are they messing with her? But then the second or third time it happens, you realize, oh, this is creating a tension that otherwise wouldn't have existed.
Interesting. Okay. All right. You know what? Well, let's hope it wins and not Mafia 3. You know what? Can we just change that? Instead of Mafia 3, it's just Mafia 3 install. I can just let you guys know how it goes.
You're just going to change the poll to Batman, Batman, or Batman?
Pretty much. Richard, what would you pick?
Well, see, I'm a little. I can't be unbiased in this situation because I actually worked at Monolith Productions for many, many years. And those are my boys over there. So, the animation team there. That's my old crew, and I used to roll with them for 3.5 years. So I got to go Mordor on this because I got to stand up for my crew.
See, I thought you were going to just go out left field and pick Moss.
Moss is the answer for everything.
So right in.
That's gonna sit on the shelf later.
So, Richard, that brings me just a quick question off the top of my head. Do you know Chris Sorrellin?
No.
Yeah, he worked with Warner Brothers and Monolith back in the day. He was mainly Red Storm, did Tom Clancy, Halo, and that stuff. So I didn't know if you know him. He's a good friend of mine. That through him, because that was it 2015. He introduced me to the Monolith team there at E3. So we had lunch together. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, I left Monolith in 2008.
2008. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that that game went through a development cycle. From what I heard from
Mordor, the original, the
original one, like kind of the cycles of it and how it got tossed back and forth.
Yeah, it was a rough start for those guys when they first started going because it was the merging of 3 different studios and Warner Brothers was getting more involved and it was a tough time, but they did holy crap,
phenomenal.
With all that pressure, they still managed probably one of the best animated games I've ever played. So.
That's why it won all its awards, well deserved. So
yeah, and I can't wait for the next one. Although I don't know why it doesn't have the word Mordor in the name.
It doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
They tend to drop that off. It's almost like Rayman Raving Rabbids. Once the game took off on its own, they dropped Rayman from it. It just became Raving Rabbids.
Yeah, I've been calling Mordor though.
Yeah, I agree. That's true. So. Kind of what Richard touched on there real briefly, I would like to go into because he's the animator behind Moss, which is upcoming, but he's worked on some just amazing games. He's worked on the Halo series. He's worked on Destiny. He's worked on Condemned, which apparently I'm the only one that's remembering that game. But dude, oh my god, I loved that game. And X-Men Legends, which was fantastic.
Oh man, you left out Deer Hunter. What's going on?
Oh shit!
You did Deer Hunter
and Game of the Year Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
I have never felt like more of a hunter than when I killed deer in Deer Hunter.
So female deer you're in around, so you can get those male deer into your area. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. You know what? I thought those deer. I thought those deer had a real Destiny kind of vibe to them. So.
I let them
think they were signing. But what was the very first game you ever worked on?
It was Fire Rescue 911. It was at the same company I did Deer Hunter with. It was all right. So this was back in at the end of 2000, beginning of 2001, and we produced this. It was I think the team was 4 people. And we produced this game in 3 months, and we put it on the shelf. And this was back in the days of shovelware, where these small PC companies would just make something really quick, put it in the box, and then try and turn a profit. So it was the type of company I worked for. And it was, when you're new, you take what you got, right? Yeah. So, and I learned a lot. It was a cool opportunity. I actually had a lot of fun there. And some of the games we made are actually quite good, but this wasn't one of them.
I like the honesty.
But it actually sold really well, and which I'm so sorry to anyone who bought it.
Was that Wii game? It sounds like a Wii
Refunds
game.
available.
Yeah, there was 5 games at that studio, 5 different projects.
Oh,
Duke
wow.
Nukem was one of them.
Manhattan Project, right?
Yeah, Manhattan Project.
Yes, nice. Hey, literally everybody in the world hates Duke Nukem forever. I just love Duke Nukem and everything he does. So I was a Manhattan. I just love Duke. So I even like Forever. I know I'm like one of 4 people that did, but I loved Forever.
Yeah,
It was just
Duke 3D was awesome. Like back in the day, it was so revolutionary.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So, but the project you're working on now is Moss, which we touched on. But one of the things that kind of just came to fruition as we were planning to get you on here was you animated the character Quill using sign language to talk to the players.
Yep.
Tell us more about that idea, because I've never seen that before, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's something that we need in this medium. So tell us more about that idea.
Well, first, thank you. All right. So, like, it wasn't super intentional. I was actually just in a play test the Monday before I released that video, and we were just Tam's our CEO. We were just watching somebody play, and we already have pantomimes and stuff in the game that Quill will use to actually try and get the player's attention, communicate a solution to a puzzle, stuff like that. Little things that it's not like she's telling you some story in a deep voice once upon a time. She's just saying, "Move this thing," type of stuff, right?
Yes.
So I'm just thinking, this is my first time officially as an animation director trying to tie a vision together. So I'm always trying to think about ways to, like, instead of making her just your common game character, try and give her some personality, something that makes her stand out as a real creature, right? So I wanted to find a way to ground her pantomimes in reality, some form of communication that people would understand, that people could relate to, and would make her feel more real. So I just turned to Tam and I'm like, well, let's just try some sign language. And he just kind of nods and he goes, yeah, I think that might work. Tuesday morning, I'm just like going on Google, doing some research on sign language. I don't know how to sign myself. So I was just trying to learn. And then, Tuesday afternoon, I started an animation. And by Wednesday night, I had it out on Twitter. And the reason I put it on Twitter is because there's 15 of us making Moss, and that includes our marketing guy, our finance guy, our HR gal, who also does a lot of our writing. But it's not like this huge company like Bungie. It's just a small group of people. I'm the only animator in Rigor right now, so being a director doesn't actually mean anything yet. I wanted to get feedback on it, and none of the guys in the office know sign language. And one of the guys has a friend that was able to give me some feedback, which was great because I had one form of validation, but I needed kind of like a wider sample to really understand if I was doing it right and to get some pretty fine-tuned feedback on it. And then it kind of got big. And I wasn't expecting that. And, I was also thinking to myself, boy, this would be great for the deaf players. Like, it would be a real perk for them because no game has really done that for them before. And it might even give them an advantage when playing Moss because they might solve the puzzles quicker because they'd understand Quill better. But it wasn't like intentionally like now we're making a sign language game and the game's all about sign language. That's certainly not the case. It's just like a very, very minor feature of this very much larger title. And hopefully we haven't confused people with the reaction to this event, but we're really excited that people really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly that blew up. You put that tweet out, and then Kotaku's running it, and Polygon's running it, and just it's everywhere. And I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's just such a cool idea. It's rare to have those ideas that people haven't done before. So to come across that and realize, oh, wait a second, this is already a VR game. It's already immersive, and now to add that into it, like, it's really cool. And it's cool to represent that segment of a population that doesn't get represented. It's made me want to learn sign language so I can experience the game better, but also so that I can communicate with people that I realize I can't communicate with on a daily basis. I've worked retail before, and to have deaf people come in and try to speak with you, it's always, I can tell how frustrated they can get and how frustrated I can get. and you think, man, they have to deal with this all the time. Like, there should be more of a system for us to learn how to communicate with each other. And I think this, intentionally or not, brings that to the forefront where people like me will try to learn sign language now.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to learn it myself, mainly because it's necessary to do this properly. But you know, it's really like the reaction that I've gotten from people, and like so many people on Twitter like got pretty emotional about, wow, this means so much to me, and thank you so much. And I was just trying to find a way to ground her in reality. I wasn't really trying to touch people's hearts, but the fact that it's had like a huge emotional impact on me myself. Like I look at those and I got kind of teary-eyed as I was reading some of the responses coming in, and I'm just like, man, I got to learn some basics here just so, you know, I understand sign language a little bit better, and you know, and having Quill do that and giving that to that group of people that it means so much to, like, you know, now that's like a goal of mine. You know, it's yeah. There we go.
You seem like a humble guy. It is super cool, though.
Yeah, I'm good.
Sorry, go ahead, Doc. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you know, my passion I have for the gaming community and the power that gaming actually has beyond just normal gaming. And once you start implementing things that allow much more diverse group to be included into the gaming spectrum, is when we start coming full circle. And to be honest, this is one area that you know, we talked kind of offline, I'm very passionate about, and we see this as a need within the gaming community. And I was totally blown away when I saw this, and it made my heart melt to the point I was just like, wow, you know, this is so powerful, because I know so many children that are unable to hear, you know, games, or, you know, many veterans and, you know, people that have been injured that can't hear anymore. And so to see this being implemented, I just applaud you, because, you know, that is foresight. I mean, and just, you know, just that's the kind of stuff that this gaming community and industry needs to move us forward in the right direction. So I just want to personally thank you. And I know for the communities I work in, they're very excited to be able to do this and experience this. So I know you'll be touching many, many, many people's lives with just this small little thing. So thank you.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that, man. Hopefully the final game lives up to the expectations of everybody. We're working hard on it, so.
Yeah, I have no doubt it will.
The one thing I can say is I met Richard this year at E3, and it's not he's not blowing smoke. This guy is very, very humble. As we sat on that E3 show floor, and I watched Moss just get Game of the Show awards. Every single one that got put up on that wall, he was beside himself, and the other members of his team are the same way. So I can tell you from talking to this guy for about 4 days in a row, bugging the crap out of him. He's very humble, and this he didn't do this to garner this attention. And I again, like everybody said, apology for that. I mean, who all came up to see you? He had everybody coming up to see that game. It was.
I remember you came up to me, and this was what was it, the second day, and you're like, "Hey, we've got a VIP guy, or VIP that needs to come up and see Moss." And I'm just like, oh, "Okay, cool." I didn't know who it was. I don't think you even knew who it was at the time.
No.
And then towards the end of the day, a Congressman Reese's wife comes up to play Moss, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is like going to bring so much visibility to VR and to accessibility and to gaming, and it's going to mean so much to, you know, not just to gamers, but to the way, you know, the government could possibly view gaming, and instead of it being the enemy, maybe we could start building that understanding and that bridge, right? And she's up there playing it, and I'm guiding her through the game, and she's, you know, she's not very experienced with games, so I'm kind of giving her some hands-on controls, and I accidentally step on her foot. And I'm like, and her entourage is like, You know, oh, I'm so sorry. But she was so good. She didn't even acknowledge it. She was just a consummate professional, just going in and taking it all in. She was so graceful, and it was a really awesome experience. So thank you, Brendan, for being so awesome, and the whole Sony team for constantly, you know, taking care of us and making sure people got through. And we were totally screwing you guys on the schedule. It wasn't intentional, but you guys were rolling with the punches, and it was just amazing to work with everybody at Sony.
Everybody that came to that to play VR, I kid you not, they wanted to play Moss. Moss is what they wanted to play, and I would go out of my way because I wanted everybody to experience that game. So Greg Miller came over to talk to him, and Hip Hop Gamer and Meredith Molinar. We had everybody there, and everybody walked away with just a huge grin on their face and saying that this thing's the real deal. So
cool.
Can I ask a really?
I want.
It's a dumb question overall, but just for anyone listening that doesn't necessarily know exactly what Moss is, that's one thing that I know. It's one of those silly questions you get asked a lot, but it's one I guess that's imperative to the people that are listening. So explain, what exactly is Moss? Like, what is the gameplay? What are we doing?
It's the shit that grows on trees. It's crazy.
It points north every time.
Game of the year.
It's an adventure of it's a story of a little mouse and her quest to save her uncle, who, and I don't want to get into too much detail because they're actually still writing the story as we speak, but who needs a little help. And you are her guide, and you are in the game. She's in the game. And when people hear of Moss, they actually, one of the big confusing things is, well, it's VR and you're in VR. So the mouse just kind of acts autonomously, and then you just kind of go on this venture, and it's hard for people to understand what it is. But you actually control the mouse like you do like Nathan Drake in Uncharted, where you move around with the analog stick, you jump, you swing your sword with a button press.
Oh, wow.
The combat is very much, it was actually, a lot of the combat design was done by, remember that guy I mentioned earlier that was incredibly good at Street Fighter? So it was him, it was myself, and then our design director, Danny, who is also a big fighting game player. So the combat is like super precise, and we're counting frames on the invincibility windows, on the dodges and stuff like that. So we're paying a lot of attention to the actual core mechanics and gameplay of it. But you're also in the game too as the player. So you can, since you're in VR, you can reach into the world and you could move things around. So if a gap is too big for Quill to jump across, you could kind of find something in the environment and move it down, and now she could jump on it and make that, make it across that gap. Or, she might need to solve a puzzle, but she can't, affect the world in these large ways. So you have to rotate things or move things to help her solve the puzzle. But then you might not be able to reach certain areas, so she could kind of get into small spaces and pull levers and do little things like that. So it's a symbiotic relationship that you're building with her. And over the course of the game, I'm trying to make it so the animation reflects that. So at first she's a little apprehensive of you because, I mean, if someone, a big, gigantic, spirit guide showed up in my living room right now, I'd probably be pretty freaked out. So I wanted her to react that way, but over the course of the game, that friendship builds, and then I want to show that by her confidence building, because when you're friends with somebody and you really build that bond with them, it helps build their confidence. So that's how I'm going to represent it. She's going to get more confident as the game goes on, and her moves might become more precise, or I might change her run cycle towards the end of the game, or her reactions to you are definitely going to be different animations. They're going to change as it goes on. And I'm over-explaining the hell out of this. Hopefully that's awesome, though.
No, it's great. Fantastic.
Dude, I want to play it right now.
Like, when people think VR games, and I can tell you, people that are more positive going into it, we're looking at it at what it is. But there's a lot of people still critical of VR games. They kind of discount them. Resident Evil was one of those games where it was VR, but because it had the traditional game style as well, people kind of lean towards that, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I mean, I have somebody I know that's critical of VR games, and he has his reasons. But that explanation you give me right now makes it seem like you're designing a game for the VR that isn't just a gimmick. It's actually a full-on experience that's just attached to the VR. You're developing something that I feel a lot of people, a lot of game developers aren't necessarily doing, because again, VR is new to PlayStation right now. So it can be treated as a gimmick, and you're not doing that. You're taking it, eons in advance, and doing so much more with it, and that's amazing.
Well, VR adds so much. Like, you know, like you said, there's a lot of things out there now that are gimmicks in VR, and it's like, oh, now I can shoot in VR, and it's like, well, you kind of shoot in first-person shooters. It's not that different, but you know, it's the strengths of VR and what it brings to the table that really make it such an immersive experience. And it's like when you are there and you're looking around and you see this character moving in front of you, it's kind of striking the first time you feel it. Like there was a demo on Oculus with like a T-Rex that walks up to you and then, you know, gets really close in your face and breathes on you or whatever. And it wasn't a game or anything. It was just a tech demo. But seeing that character there, just like, oh my God, it feels like this T-Rex is in the room with me. So I wanted to build on something like that. Actually, the whole team wanted to build on something like that. So we have this super small character. And like in a normal console game, if the character makes emotional reactions towards you or something, it feels kind of weird because you're breaking that fourth wall. But in VR, it feels like your friend is talking to you, and all of a sudden that fourth wall doesn't exist anymore. So it opens up so many doors, so many possibilities that just didn't exist in traditional console gaming. And I think if we start focusing more as developers on that area and start really building relationships and finding ways to just naturally interact with things while using the concepts and stuff that have gotten us this far that people really love in console gaming, it's that marriage of those two worlds that I think is really going to make things interesting. And for us, not moving the camera around, because I get sick in like Eve Valkyrie, the flying game. It's awesome. I love playing it. I just get sick, so I can only play it for 10 minutes at a time. But with Moss, we're not ever moving the camera, so you don't get sick when you play Moss. It's stage, you know, like stage plays. Each room is like a different stage play, and you exit one room and it disappears, and you reappear in another one. So we're building it so we can get as many people in the world not feeling nauseous and just playing to the strengths of what VR brings.
Now, so you've already touched on the fact that you're a small team, so I'm sure you're just constantly working. Do you get to converse with other VR teams to kind of get feedback or thoughts or advice you can all kind of grow together, or are you just so busy you're kind of in your own bubble?
Well, all right, so modern game development is very different from the way it was even just 5 years ago. Like back in like when I was at Bungie, it was very like, okay, testing is done internally with this, you know, team, and everyone's under NDA, and you don't let any information leak. And I understand why studios like Bungie need to do that, because if information on Destiny got out way before it needed to, then bad things could happen, as we've actually seen happen in their situation a few times. But with us, we're a small company, and there's just, you know, we want information to leak because no one knows who we are yet. So we actually have whoever we can get to come into the studio, other VR devs, friends, family members, guy on the street, we pull them in, you know, we put the headset on and we get them to play test the game. So our play test is constantly with, you know, we have 3, 4, 5 different people a week coming through the office play testing the game. And if you guys are at PAX, you should come over and play test and give us some feedback. And it's awesome getting that, because it's such honest feedback from people like that, because it's not just testers doing their jobs. It's people like, you know, thinking about, would I buy this game and what would stop me from buying this game? And you get such amazing feedback by doing that.
That's great.
So Brendan still hasn't played.
I imagine.
Play.
I was waiting for that. I was too busy making sure everybody else got to play it that I did not sit down. I was kind of hoping you would throw me out there.
Such a martyr.
But no, it's I agree. I like how you said that, though, because I try to take the same kind of approach to, hell, even if I'm just looking for a game to play or looking for a movie to watch, I don't like to go to IGN's reviews. I like to go to Amazon, because these are people from the street. This is me and you telling me what you thought of it. There is no possible bias. There's nothing that's tied into it. It's literally just somebody else sat down and this is what they thought of it. So it's kind of that, you know, formula for the gaming is you can pull somebody in who's not a friend of yours who might sugarcoat it. These people just tell you straight up exactly what they feel and everything. So I think that's a really cool idea that you guys do that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Definitely exciting. Sorry, got a little bit of feedback. I'm having power issues. My thing keeps flickering.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I was tweeting them like, I don't know. Hopefully I don't lose power. It's weird.
So, your spirit guides are hearing now. Get ready.
Yeah. You're the Moss in your story, Doc.
That's good. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, all I can say is I'm just really excited for this. I was early adopter on the PSVR, so day one, right, Brandon? Day one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
buddy. Yeah,
I,
buddy.
yeah, I was. So I'm really excited for it. This looks like a departure from most of the other VR games, and I mean, I even have the Oculus here. So, I just love the VR and what it allows me to do, and allows me to experience in a different manner and delivery method. So I do have a small spot for tiny mouses. And mice and all this kind of stuff. There's been quite a few movies that really touched my heart because you would never think that something so brave could come in such small packages, and it speaks volumes to me, and I know it's going to speak volumes to tons of children and people of all ages. So yeah, I'm excited.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure at all. But
What I'm doing here, I should be working. Gosh.
no, I do have to say, I mean, from seeing the way games and cycles and the cost and just seeing that other side of the thing, and knowing that a small studio's pulling this off, very small staff, everything else. I know, it can't be easy, and it's like budget concerns, all this stuff. But you're doing a beautiful job. I definitely excited, and I really hope great success comes falling your way. So
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous game too. I mean, it just looks so cool and very well animated. So
Props to that guy.
yeah, whoever's animated,
Like
doing
the
a
actual
phenomenal
articulation
job.
of the hands was intense. There's so many little motions you're capturing. It's great. But hey, while we're on the now we're on the topic of VR, this is good territory for all of us, because I know we've all experienced the VR, and I'm definitely interested to hear, because the choice to make not just a normal PS4 or Xbox game, but to make it in VR. Mr. Lico, I know you have to have experienced the VR yourself as well to kind of make that decision. So, what games have you been playing on the VR that kind of inspired you, I guess, to start jumping into that world?
Well, it's actually I had nothing to do with the VR decision. That was all made by our founders, Tam, Chris, and Danny, and they were doing this from coffee shops way before I got involved. But I haven't played a ton of games in VR. Super Hot's really awesome. Robo Recall's really, really awesome. But it's just I have an Oculus at home. I don't actually have a PlayStation headset yet. I got the Oculus first because it was the first one out. Brendan, don't look at me like that.
Brandon will send you a free VR if you give me the mouse statue. We'll work out a deal.
Whoa. Pay no attention to the
don't
man
hate-
in the hotel room.
Do not hate on the
Whoa,
Oculus,
it's a
okay?
house.
It's definitely, it's good. It's a quality product, okay? They all are equal. They can,
oh, yeah.
They all have
Oh no, nobody's knocking.
Yeah, I'm sure the Oculus is great. My computer can't really run it. It could if I really tried and knocked the settings down, but PSVR is an easy entry point.
Yes.
I had a PS4 already, so then you get the VR for a portion of the cost of the Oculus, and you don't have to worry about it running it. So I'm sure Oculus is great. I'd love to play it, but
you could use the PS4 controller with it. So like playing Moss on the PSVR is like an optimal experience, because you have that traditional gamepad there that you're used to doing third-person shooters and puzzle platformers with. It just feels so natural when Quill's running around with it. Plus, I could wear my glasses on the PSVR. I love it.
Yes, right?
Yes. Yep.
That was the first thing that I noticed, because it's one of those things where you don't think you already need them, but I don't know, when you're a person that wears glasses, such as ourselves, these other guys, they don't know what we're talking about. But it was weird because anytime you put, like, even just putting like a pair of sunglasses over your glasses is uncomfortable, as silly as that sounds. But the PlayStation VR, my wife, she was getting me hooked on the VR, and she was telling me, like, even wearing your glasses, it's comfortable, and she was not wrong. Like, I had no issues wearing my glasses with the VR.
Yeah, I desperately want one. I'm just saving up for it.
Yeah. It's definitely nice. Yeah, and I touched on it earlier, but so far I think one of the biggest games to be on there, and I think really enhanced it, was Resident Evil. I have not crapped myself like that in
Wow.
forever.
Oh boy.
Let me do
And
so,
forever. Let's start that
I'm
sentence
not gonna
over
spoil
again.
too much, but
And now he's
did
not wearing
anybody
pants.
did anybody else
No.
play Resident Evil? Did anybody else play it?
Oh
on
yeah,
there?
Yes.
Yep.
Does anybody remember? Because I didn't get too far. I'm really bad at chase games. I get too anxious. I'm like, dude, I'm done, man. You got me. But do you remember the scene where you're going down the stairs and that girl starts climbing after you? No joke. That part alone, I was like, nope, I'm done, man. I'm motion sick. I'm out of this.
You loved it or you hated it? I'm not sure. You loved it.
Robo voices, gentlemen. Sorry about that.
It's appropriate because I did watch RoboCop this week. So
Nah,
You're going down. It is down, brother.
welcome to Digital Hoarders, where it is now just Doc, Richard Lico, and Joel. Doc, you don't. Do you have a PlayStation VR?
Yes, I do.
Is there any games that you've been playing on it?
I actually was playing Eve Valkyrie, and I try smaller ones. I like the Sims where I get the experience stuff. That I had all the launch games at the beginning, like Eagle. I also got Eagle Flight. I enjoy that.
I didn't play one.
Yeah, it's good.
What is that?
Did you get sickness with Eagle Flight?
The what? Oh yeah, I did.
You did?
I felt nauseous, like it was like, oh, like this. Kind of like when I tried Minecraft with Oculus, when you're moving your head around and everything else like this, and you lean over like a block and you're looking down. It's just a dramatic effect, and it caused me motion sickness from it. So yeah, that one actually did because you're moving around so much. So
I actually
usually
played that
take
one.
it from me.
But I've got that on my Oculus, and what they're doing is they're actually pulling in the FOV whenever you're flying and looking around, and they're trying to do that to try and minimize motion sickness. So it's always interesting to hear like who gets sick with that one, who doesn't. That one I could actually play without getting sick.
Yeah, see, it was like, I don't know, maybe I was just queasy that day or whatever, but I mean, like, rigs, I was okay with, and
I couldn't play that one.
Yeah, so it was definitely that one made me a little bit off, but the Robo one that I have on the Oculus, the Robo shooting one,
Robo Recall,
yeah, the Robo Recall, that was really good. Really enjoyed that one. So I mean, they definitely, VR games are good in that spectrum. So I mean, they've come a long way from other entries I've seen. I mean, I never like to diss certain games, but like that gigantic robot golf, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
heard of that one. I'm out of the loop.
Robot golf.
yeah, the
Yeah, it was
robot
100
golf.
Foot Robot Golf. The McElroy brothers did the voices in it, so I got it. And the game was okay.
Yeah,
But-
it was okay. But
We preach positivity here on Digital Hoarders.
yeah, what I'm saying is that we've seen the level of growth once developers have got the hardware, and you can see the growth from when it started to where we are now. You can actually see VR games, how they've expanded and grown and become more mature and fully developed games, instead of, I think some of the industry puts it as like just experiences, but now there's full-fledged games, just being able to fully immerse into it. So
Yeah, there's one called Gunheart that just came out, another local studio in Seattle, and it looks really good. I can't wait to try that one. Kenneth Scott was the art director on that. He was the old guy from Doom and Quake days.
Oh wow!
Oh, nice.
What's it called again?
It's called Gunheart.
Gunheart. Okay.
I hope I'm not screwing that up.
No, it's fine. I'm sure Google will correct us. I'm gonna
Yeah.
check that one out as well. Yeah, I know a lot of like the VR games in the beginning, like a lot of them really pushed on the like gimmicky side. Because even the Batman game was this, like what was it, like 1 hour and you were done it. But it was fantastic. It was one of the greatest hours of VR I played. But yeah, I expected a little bit more from it. But it's good to see all these games actually taking a good direction with VR, like actually
It's-
kind of going more into it.
It's tough when you have a new medium like VR because there's only so many headsets on the market, so there's only so many people that could potentially buy your game, which means that huge budgets, you'd never make your money back. So a lot of teams are usually very small making VR games right now until the market grows larger. So that's why a lot of the experiences have been really small in scope, because it's something that you can do on the cheap and get it out, knowing that you're only going to have a limited customer base. I think as it progresses, things are going to naturally get bigger and better.
Yeah, that's true. With that actually being said, did you have any plans for Moss having a non-VR adaptation?
It's hard to say what's eventually going to happen in the future, but right now we're not planning on it. Right now we're just focused on PlayStation VR, focused on making Moss the best thing we can. Like I said, there's only 15 of us. There's only so much we can really divert our attention. Once we ship, we're going to make some decisions, figure out where to go from there.
Okay,
That makes sense.
Awesome.
I know we're still trying to get Brandon back in the show.
Yeah.
So sorry, guys.
We're still trying to fix this. Also, it's just staying on our camera, so everybody's watching us puzzle around and try to figure out what the hell's going on.
Can everybody in the live chat? Oops, try that again. Can everybody in the live chat hear us? I just want to make sure that somebody, because watching it live right now, it's not switching off of mine and Alden's camera. And
It's just a lot of us going.
None of you want to look at me, and I don't blame you. But, so I apologize.
On my end, I see you guys switching perfectly on live right now, so everything's good with that. It's switching. I think that's error. I mean, I'm tracking different issues with Google, and I'm seeing stuff spike. And maybe since I am hosting this, and with my issues flickering, I could be having this. So I do apologize.
I guess now would be a good time to start wrapping up then, huh?
There's just too much awesome in one space.
So that is a good thing. Let's wrap this up. Definitely. Good Lord. I'm just gonna say this out. Richard, I highly applaud you, and if there's anything I can help you with in my spectrum and assistance, once this game comes out, I would love to partner up with Polyarch and you guys, and work with some of the special groups I work with, and the kids and everything else, and get this game out there.
I would love to take you up on that, Doc. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So
One thing about Doc is, if you guys aren't familiar with what Doc does, is works with Operation Supply Drop. So he is constantly working with veterans and disabled veterans. So this is something else. It's one thing about this podcast is everybody here has big hearts, and our guests have big hearts, and Doc is no exception. And with everything that he deals with, I guarantee that this game is going to speak to so many people that are in Doc's immediate circle.
Exactly. As soon as I saw this, I knew. I was like, I've got great things for this. OSD has a program called Respawn that we match games with a disability or an injury and allows them to recover. And I know so many of my deaf veterans that have lost their hearing and all that stuff. This is just going to be cool. It's going to speak volumes to them, and especially with our other populace that we work with. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to definitely utilize this.
Cool. It'll be awesome to touch with to reach out to them and get this in their hands and
definitely.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
100%. I can't wait for this game. It looks so cool, and I say that as somebody who watched the E3 conference and didn't know anything about you. I didn't know we were going to be doing this ever. It was one of my favorite things that I saw at E3. It was so cool. So I can't wait.
Cool. Thank you.
Just so you know, I have intense ADD, so I'm already thinking about what your next game's going to be. That's that's my level of thought. I'm already going to buy Moss. That's hands down, because I know we got some good deals we're going to be working out. I'm just saying. But for real, I'm really excited for Moss. I think it's gonna be amazing. And thanks for joining the show. That's awesome of you, and you're a great guy doing great things. I love it.
Thanks so much for having me. Every last one of you, thank you. This has been a great opportunity, and this is an awesome podcast, and I really hope that you guys continue with this, and this goes really well for you guys, because I thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of episode 1.
Appreciate it. Except for the football.
thank you very much.
Yeah, the football thing, I was like, I don't know what that is, and then I walk away. But yeah, everything else was great.
Thanks
It's
a
good
lot.
we're
Thanks,
getting
guys.
it's so cool. Anybody that goes to meet him will make sure they do not bring up sports ever.
Well, we apologize for the issues on our end. So
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
Good. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah, go ahead, Brandon. You take it away. I know we got some things on the docket.
Sure. So, before I get into that, actually, no, we'll get into that. And then there's something I want to say before we sign off. But
Okay.
again, thank you, Richard. I knew, like I said, meeting you at E3 was awesome. And the minute I started talking to you, I'm just like, this guy kicks ass. This is a good guy. You're incredibly busy putting out this game, and you took this hour plus out of your busy schedule, and we cannot thank you enough for that.
Yes, thank you.
So we'll say thank you another 1,000 times. So
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'll start it in the background.
we are next week. Just to let everybody know, we are taking a week off. Busy schedules coming up. But we got something pretty cool coming up for the following week, or the week 3, which we're shooting for September 1st. Chris Thompson, running back for the Washington Redskins, is going to be on the show with us, which is really cool because it's immediately after the fourth and final preseason game. So it is right before the season starts up. So Richard's like, shit, another sports episode.
Yeah.
But so
Gaming centric.
We're diving deep into football and Madden and everything on that episode,
And a lot of his video game background, and
so
he loves video games.
another just awesome. I said it last week, and I'll say it every week. It blows my mind that any of you guys want to be a part of this. So, thank you.
Awesome. All right. If no one has any final closing thoughts, comments, going once.
The only thing that I want. Oh, I'm there. All right. The only thing I want to say one more time, one more thing before we sign off is, like we all say, this is all positivity. We are just a happy bunch of guys here. If I can say one thing about me, Alden and I live in Virginia, and that shit that happened, all I want to say is, we'll never touch on politics. We will never touch on politics on this show. But what happened was not politics. That was hatred and disgusting, and love everybody. Like, we can't preach that enough. Just love everybody. That's what we're here to do. We're not here for a long time, so everybody should just enjoy it. So I just wanted to say that because it's still far too relevant right now. So
it's hard not to bring it up. It's a real rough time.
Spread love, not hate. That is a motto I live by. Life is too short. I've experienced that many times. If you guys follow my Twitter, I'm lucky to be able to take my next breath every day. So, yeah.
Amen.
So, all right. On that note, I want to thank everyone that is tuned in and that is listening on iTunes, Google Play, and all those wonderful podcasts out there. Thank you for all listening, and we will catch you all September 1st with Chris Thompson. Everyone, have a wonderful night.